Hello everyone, welcome to today's edition. Made a couple of trades today. The first one was Alibaba. Entered these on, I think it was about 10 o'clock this morning. Take a look here. 10:02, added to it at 10:04. Ended up holding it for like an hour and a half. So I got in my first entries at 10:02. Got in on this break above today's open and this pivot point, but right after that had a big sell-off. I held my stop was a close below this, so I had some room. It came down. I added to it at what time was it? 10:04. Added a third contract. So right at the bottom of this, actually right after this candle opened, shortly after this candle opened, I added, and if I remember right, this dropped pretty quick, so it was probably down in here when I added it. It did pull back a little more, and then I was happy to see its long tail here. Not a hammer candle, but it's still a long tail. And unfortunately, I didn't ride it up long enough. I sold the first one at 11:34, 11:39, 11:41. So 11:34, I sold. Come on, quit flashing. Sold right after this candle open. It looked like we were starting to lose a little bit of momentum here. We had a spinning top here, kind of a spinning top, a little bit of a longer wick here. So I sold one just to reduce a little bit of risk, and I sold another one. Plus, I was up enough that I was okay with unloading a little bit of the risk there. Sold one 11:39 and one 11:41. 11:39 was right at the open of this candle, and I sold the last one at 11:41, which would have been close to the close of this candle. I knew we were getting up close to this gap here. This was a gap fill from July 5th, so I kind of thought we'd struggle right here, and we did for a couple of candles. Not really struggled, but a couple of candles we were kind of unsure here, but I was already out by this point. So that was, and it looks like we're going to close that gap from July 5th. That was my first entry this morning. Percentage wise wasn't great. What I sold at, what I pay? 230. Paid 333. I sold for minus 333 divided by 333. I made 7.2% on that, so not a great percentage, but it was kind of a choppy day in the market this morning. And then this afternoon I got into just got out of NVDA. Just closed out of NVDA. I bought it at 141. Let's take a look. NVIDIA. I played NVIDIA off of this cross here. I got in at 141. So I waited till this candle pulled back, and I bought my first contract right here. And I kind of screwed this one up, but I'll explain that. I bought two of them to start. I bought another one about 45 minutes later at 229. So I bought my first one right about here, and then I added one more down right after the open of this candle, shortly after the open of this candle. It was down close to here when I added. I think it was actually about right here. Knowing we had a pivot point here, and we had a bullish engulfing candle here, bullish engulfing candle near a support level is fairly good. Uh, Fairly confident that you can get a little bounce there. So I added one right here. That brought my average to 118. I paid 119 for two of them, 116 for the third one. So I had my average is 118. I was looking to sell for about 130. I don't like this time of day, but that being said, I was already in the trade. Let's pull this over and see. We made it up to the high was 126. We actually hit 127 over here. Either way, it's not a very great percentage win, but I went to sell one right here. I thought I was selling one. I ended up selling two. That was at 258. I sold at $1.25. So at 258, it was actually shortly after this candle opened, I sold two accidentally. I wanted to sell one, and I sold the last one at 303, and that was right at the open of this candle. I sold the last one. I didn't like the pullback and just figured it was time to get out. I had a profit. Didn't want to risk letting it turn red on me. I kind of figured my last piece was going to be a break even, and I was in at 118. I hit sell market and it sold for 122. So not great percentage wise, but I'm up $42 for the day. After fees, it might be 35 bucks. So it's overall, it's not a bad day, not a bad start to the week. You can see this chart here. This is my main chart I have set up that I look at. Shortly after I got into this trade, what was it, 140 something like that. You can see all these stocks I'm watching all took off except for NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the only one. Actually, Roku didn't take off either, but NVIDIA and Roku didn't move. Everything else shot up. What did I say? I got in at 141. So right about here I got in. You can see my crosshairs. You see here I got in at 141, and it kind of consolidated. You see this one over here at 141. It consolidated. Over here at 141. This actually, it consolidated a little bit, and then it took off. It popped, and they all kind of consolidated right in that area. Oh, not all, but this Apple kind of kept on running. Netflix took off running. Spy took off running. But over here, BABA took off. At 141, it was trading. It pulled back a little bit, and then he had these almost three big candles in a row where NVIDIA didn't do anything. It didn't do anything until about 242, where this started its move at 212. So NVIDIA kind of lagged behind. I was watching the rest of the charts thinking, oh, okay, they're all taking off. NVIDIA's going to follow. And it followed, but it took a while. And with time decay, it just ended up not really benefiting me. But nonetheless, I played the 921 EMA cross on NVIDIA here. Go back and look at some crosses from earlier in the day. We didn't have any on NVIDIA till here. That one would have been pretty much a bomb. And if you look, NVIDIA was red today, so it probably would have been better off to play one to the downside, across to the downside. This would have been a nice one. Apple, I know it kind of shot off right out of the gate. I don't know if I guess we did have some crosses on it. But this would have taken a while to play out. Once you would have got over here, it would have started paying out for you. Cross here would have been good to play to the upside. BABA, I didn't play a cross on BABA. I did play BABA, but it wasn't on a cross. It was on a, not really a high day breakout, but kind of getting close to high day breakout. In the end, it worked. We did have it really wasn't even a cross here. It was kind of a meeting here. So they never really crossed. Facebook is really choppy today. It would have been really tough on the trade. Netflix pulled back pretty hard right at the open. Looks like it stayed that way pretty much the whole day until about here. It started to get some buyers. Netflix, NVDA, we just looked at that. NVIDIA, we had a cross down, or actually a cross up. Yeah, we already talked about that one. Roku, couple nice trades here. We had a cross right here, right at the open. This would have been a real nice one to play, to jump in. Cross to the upside here. The only problem is your stop would be way down here. You could put a stop here at this pivot point. If I was going to trade this, my stop probably would have been here, but actually I probably wouldn't have even got in that one, just because it was so far from the stop and you have a lot of resistance here. Another cross to the downside here. It came down and pretty much almost touched this pivot point. Then we had a cross to the upside here, and this would have been good. Your entry would have been right here, and you would have been in the money right away. It would have been green right away on that trade. So let's take a look at SPY and Tesla. We'll look at Tesla just because I hate it. Nah, Tesla's hard to trade. If you're really good at it, you can. I've made money on it, but I've lost money on it. It's really hard to. Some people just get it though. Some people can trade that really well. You see, we had a cross right at the open here. This would have probably paid out well, but your risk reward wasn't really there. Trade across the upside wouldn't have been good here, but across to the downside. And really, what you could do is come up here and look, just a quick glance, to see that this is red. It's red for the day. You're probably better off playing across to the downside, unless you want to try to catch a bottom and a reversal. SPY and Tesla. Tesla crossed to the downside right at the open. Probably would have paid off right here. Could have sold at least some down here. Never came up and touched your stop, so you could have held on until it came down here, and I would have been unloading here. You had yesterday's close plus yesterday's high right here. I would have been looking to get out here. Maybe hold one contract, but that would have been it for me. And at that point, my stop would have been right here in the last contract. So you would have got stopped out over here, but yeah, it came over. You really held yesterday's high, or Friday's highs really well here. And then you had a cross to the upside. This would have been really nice to catch this one. This is the first time I've seen this chart today, so but that would have been a really nice trade. Just for the heck of it, entry would have been at 12:33. Let's just for the heck of it, let's take a look. Tesla probably would have traded maybe these. Let's see what they would have been trading at that time. So at 12:33, you would have entered at 95 cents. And right now they're trading at $2.31. So easily could have doubled your money on that one. Who knows, by the time it's done, you may have been able to triple it. But easy double. But, you don't know that. And Tesla could have just as easily crossed up here, came up to here, and turned around and dropped 20 points. So that's it for today's video, though. Like I said, I had 2 winning trades. Both were lower percentage. Didn't even calculate my percentage on the second one. It was, what I say, 7.2 on BABA. NVDA I sold for 250 plus 122. 372. I sold for 372 and I paid 354. So 18 divided by 354. Yeah, 5% on that one. So definitely not good on NVIDIA, but at least it's green. At least it's a profit. Could have been worse. Could have went the other way. But it was a tough day. Look at this chop here. If you wouldn't have caught this right at the open, there's not much more. You could have traded this one. You had a bearish engulfing candle right here at the top of this, right at resistance. Actually, it kind of broke resistance, and then it had the bearish engulfing. But that would have been a nice trade there, because on this, my stop would have been a close above here, and my target would have been at least here. So I'm looking at probably close to 2-to-1 minimum. So yeah, that would have been a nice one. That was actually happened at 12 o'clock, and I was at lunch at that time. So you see NVIDIA's taking off again here. Those calls that I got out at when I sold the last one at $1.22, sold the first one at $1.25. They're actually trading at 126 by 127 right now. Yeah. Tesla. But anyway, why didn't that? Okay, I know why I didn't. Alright, we have to come over here, the trade tab, and I think I was in the it was like in the 170s, 170 calls, right here, 122 by 124 now. So, and here's where it's trading right now. So 122 by 125. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll have another good winning video tomorrow. Thanks, and bye.